So, hello everyone. It's nice to be here at Nordic IoT Week. And it's my pleasure to talk to you today about how can we digitalize traditional business and still preserve the essence case Kyrö Distillery Company. So, my name is Lari Maasalo, and I come from Nokeval, where I work as the Executive Vice President, helping our sales and engineering teams. We help our customers solve their measurement problems to optimize their processes and gain unique advantages over their competitors. With these solutions, they have saved a lot of cost and valuable time, as we've seen in many of these presentations here, what the value of IoT can be. But as my time is limited, I will dive directly into the case of our client, Kyrö Distillery Company. It's a Finnish whiskey distillery. That's the main product, or will be. Whiskey distillery located in the village of Iso-Kyrö in Ostrobothnia. As always, but especially so in this case, it's critical to deeply understand the customer's business and the possible underlying constraints and nuances that by themselves might be small, but put together make a world of difference. That is to truly fathom the essence of the customer's business. Well, what's the essence of Kyrö Distillery Company then? These Finnish guys who, in sauna, where else, we're in Finland, came up with the idea to start making Finnish single malt rye whiskey. That hadn't done before, but they decided to do it properly and really well. At this point, I need to mention about a couple of details of making whiskey. It's heavily regulated by the legislators and the legislation. And I don't mean only here in Finland, where, as you know, the alcohol laws are very, very strict, but also generally, and especially in the most famous whiskey areas like Ireland and Scotland, which are also regarded as a sort of yardsticks when it comes to distilling whiskey. But the single most important rule is that you have to let the distillate mature for at least 3 years before you can actually call it whiskey and sell it as a product that is labeled whiskey. And as you might know, that's just the beginning, as 3 years is nothing in the world of whiskey. Usually, to be highly regarded, you have to wait for at least 10, 12, 15 years for the whiskey to mature. It is also so that distilling whiskey is always a very local business, or it's associated with a very specific named location or a village or a river many times in Scotland, for example. So you just cannot make a branded single malt whiskey anywhere else but where the product was born and where it got its name from. Like the recent craft beer boom, distilling whiskey, it's heavily associated with the true craftsmanship and the sort of made by hand image. To describe this, Kyrö Distillery even uses the Finnish phrase that I don't know how to translate it in English, but in Finnish it's rehellinen hifistely. Okay then, we have the concrete problem number 1, funding. We just can't wait for more than 3 years for the turnover to start. Just sitting beside the nice oak barrels and the nice odored in the whiskey cellars. That would be nice, but you just don't have the money for that, probably. Well, solution. Make and sell gin during the wait. This is actually what most whiskey distilleries will try to do to survive the first couple of years when they just can't sell whiskey yet, as it isn't whiskey yet. Problem number 2. Then your gin wins the first prize and gets selected as the world's best gin for gin and tonic. The demand explodes, and you need to scale up the production really rapidly. Double it, then double it again maybe. So here's the thing. You need to rapidly scale up the production, still keep the quality high, meet the expectations, and maintain the craft image at the same time. You need to fill as many whiskey barrels as possible, while at the same time producing more and more gin for the world's gin and tonic thirsty crowds. Remember, you have to wait for at least 3 years for the whiskey to mature. You can't speed it up. And if you're not putting enough distillate in the barrels now, then you'll be in real trouble after 3 years. Well, the answer for this case is you digitalize just what you can. Don't touch the parts where you sort of risk losing the essence. You can't relocate or subcontract the essential parts of the whiskey production. You need to preserve the craftsmanship and the manual quality control, and most importantly, sort of feel for the product. As an example, we even thought about continual real-time alcohol percentage monitoring straight from the barrels that contain the whiskey maturing there. But as the barrels need to be manually sampled, nosed, and tasted on a regular basis anyway, would be, of course, might be possible to make a sensor for that. Maybe the head distiller wouldn't like that because it's his work to work with the whiskey there, with his nose and senses. But anyway, it would have intruded the essence, we think, and so would have been a wasted effort in this case. But automation, digitalization, and IoT have their undisputed benefits in this case too, as we have so many times heard today. Automate to save time and effort whenever you can and wherever you can. Measure and control to minimize waste and maximize quality. Solutions then. This one's pretty obvious, really. Saving time. You automate and optimize the phases, the processes where it matters the most for the efficiency, but doesn't negatively affect the quality. Most likely, the opposite will be true. As in this case, in the beginning, even the labels were fixed by hand on the bottles, and the corks were inserted one by one manually, but not anymore, as you saw in the video. It's an automated process. Solution 2, minimizing waste while maximizing the quality and the yield. By automatically and continually monitoring the conditions to avoid any problems and possible waste, both in raw material storage in this case. For example, the delicate botanicals for the gin are collected during summer from Finnish nature and then need to be carefully frozen and stored over the winter in freezers, as the whiskey production is an ongoing process. So you have to have those fresh botanicals always. And during the whiskey maturing phase, you have to keep the conditions just optimal. Will maximize the eventual yield after the years-long wait. So you will not have waited in vain. The essence of IoT, in our opinion, is to find the right places to apply it in the proper ways, to collect data that is genuinely useful, and for the data to be really useful, it needs to be accurate and reliable enough. Not just any data, but true and useful, accurate, reliable data. To be trusted, to the control algorithms and analytics engines that churn out the eventual business benefits. At Nokeval, we really like to measure things and to engineer and build gadgets to measure things. That's what we do. Engineer just the right instruments that our customer needs. Temperature. At Kura Distillery, the temperature is measured and controlled in various phases. And in many phases, it's really critical, especially in the distillation process. But also, it's also measured from the botanical storage, malt storage, barrel storage to control the environment and quality. We applied wireless sensors to measure the temperature from various locations and also humidity. In this case, humidity is measured in the barrel storage to control the aging conditions. Humidity is particularly important for the natural material, the oak wood planks that make up the barrels. And the barrels are made of that natural oak wood. Humidity has a big effect on that. Particles, dust, gases, CO2, VOCs, like alcohol vapor. At Kyrö Distillery, the alcohol vapor content in the air is also measured to be able to prevent hazardous or even explosive conditions in the facilities, or it could also be a health hazard. Anything can be measured, but what's useful and meaningful and what really needs to be measured? The business requirements and the task at hand naturally decide what is essential and in the end profitable. As in the previous presentation, we heard about the return on investment. And it is our task to tell how to realize that in practice. Our passion is to succeed together with our clients, both us and the client doing the things they love most. I thank you for your attention. This was my presentation. I'm happy to tell you more about case Kyrö Distillery and hear about your cases, thoughts, and experiences in the field of IoT. Here's my contact information. Feel free to be in touch with me later. Our booth is in there in the closest corner of the entrance. Thank you.